All right, friends, it's your boy, Mr. Shagney, coming at you with the lesson 11 points on the coordinate plane homework explanation. So tonight you're going to be graphing some points in the coordinate plane, and then you're going to try to see if they make a shape, and you're going to be connecting what we did in class to these sort of concepts. So the first question says, graph these points in the coordinate plane. You have to draw your own, so I'm just going to graph them. So to graph my coordinate plane, I'm just going to make coordinate plane look like this. This is my x, this is my y. Then I'm going to treat it just like a number line. So I'm going to make little tick marks. Some of you are a little bit more precise than I am mathematically, but for me, this works. So now I'm going to plot these, -2, +3. So -2, +3. There's a point. 2, 3. So 2, 3, -2, -3, -2, -3, and then 2, -3. And it says connect all the points. So if I connect these points in my graph, it's going to make a rectangle. So the ordered pairs form a rectangle. And if you look at the actual ordered pairs that I gave you, notice that the 2 is negative in some situations and positive in other situations. So each one of those points is going to fall in a different quadrant, which is something we talked about today. When it falls in, when you start noticing that, right? This is quadrant, should be quadrant 2, quadrant 1. So I'd say quad 2, quad 1, quad 3, and quad 4. And I know that because negative means, I'm going to go to the left, and then that means I'm going to go up, and that's quadrant 2, which is located over here, right, in that vicinity. So we talked about that today in class, and so you're building on that sort of knowledge from class. Number 3 says, write the coordinates of each point off to the side of the picture. So I'm going to write what it tells me to do. So so if you're looking at this, look, they're trying to trick us by counting by 2, so that means halfway between 2 and 0 would be 1. So I'm going to say that that's 1, 0, because it has not moved up at all, right? So 1, 0 is where A is. B, I'm looking at B. B has not moved on the x, so it's on 0 for x, and it looks like it's between -2 and -4. And a number that's between -2 and -4 to me would be -3. If I'm looking at C, C's location is over here. That looks like -6, halfway between 4 and 6. So -6, and then halfway between that would be 5. So -6, 5. D would be, it's halfway between -2 and -4. So that's -3. And then it's also halfway again, which would make that -5. So -3, -5. And then E would be, looks like it's 1, 4. Or -1, 4. So -1 and then up 4. All right, so that's all we had to do there. Number 4 is testing what we did in the first activity today, where it says these 3 points form a horizontal line. Remember, this is a horizontal line, right? So remind yourself, you can draw a picture. So this is a horizontal line, and it tells you the points. Name 2 additional points that fall on that line. Well, if you're thinking about this, all of them have the number 4 as their y-coordinate. And because they have the number 4 as their y-coordinate, we know that the y-coordinate has to be 4, right? So I need 2 points that have the coordinate of 4 as the y-coordinate. So I'm going to give a number like 5, 4, because 5, 4 would still fall on that line. And then I could say 1, 4. Both of those would still fall on that line, because as long as the line is horizontal and it goes on, can go on forever, then those points will fall on that line, right? And so that's what we need to understand, is that these would fall on that line, because we don't know how long the line is, but we do know that they have the same y-coordinate for a horizontal line. Number 5 says, one night it is 24 degrees Celsius warmer in Tucson Tucson than it is in Minneapolis. If the temperatures in Tucson and Minneapolis are opposites, that word opposites, right? It's popping up again, right? What is it doing here? Opposites, right? So remember that an opposite are two numbers that are an equal distance away from zero. And so most people might be inclined to say, well, Minneapolis is 24 degrees. It gave me 24 degrees. I'm looking at the keyword opposite. It must be negative 24. Well, 24 and negative 24 are not, that does not make them 24 degrees warmer than each other, because that means that they have a distance between them of 48 degrees. And so we're really looking for a number that has, we're looking for a number that is the opposite, right, of the other, right? And they have to be a total of 24 degrees between them. And so that tells me that I need a number that's half of 24. And because I have to have a number that's half of 24, that makes it a little bit more, it narrows it down. So it cannot be 24, negative 24, or 24. Now I'm going to read the problem to see which one it is. And then, so for this one right here, I know that it has to be negative 12 or 12. So I'm going to read it again. One night is 24 degrees warmer in Tucson than it is in Minneapolis. So if it's warmer in Tucson, right, than it is in Minneapolis, that means that Minneapolis has to be colder than Tucson. So in that situation, then Tucson has to be the warmer temperature, and between those two, 12 degrees would be warmer, because 12, positive 12, and negative 12 have an absolute value of 12. And if I add those together, they give me 24 degrees, right? And that's what we're looking for in this problem. And this problem right here is going to be a doozy, because you're going to have to go through and find, right? Find the possible values. So I'm going to plot. And the great thing is I have this little thing behind me, which kind of helps me with this activity, because it's like I'm tracing this coordinate grid, which is perfect, right behind it. Okay, and it says, how many ways are there to get from the point negative 3, so negative 3, positive 2, to negative 1, negative 1, negative 1. So it's asking you how many different ways are there. Well, I know that I could travel, and I can only move vertical and horizontal steps. So vertical steps, right? So that's 2 away from that. So, and then that's 2 in that direction. So that's one way that I could take that path. So that's one way. 2 ways, I could go this way, like a stair step, this way, that way, this way. That's my second path. I could go this way, this way, this way, that way. That's 3 paths. Right, so your job, so you can't even see what I'm doing. Your job is to find out how many different paths there are from here to here using just vertical and horizontal steps, but you can only move 1 unit. And you're trying to see how many different opportunities there are. And so I'll tell you that you'll know if you're right, because there should be a total of 10 paths. So I want you to really think about this problem. The goal is to find as many opportunities as you can. So I know that I marked here and you couldn't see some of it, but really, like, this is a direct path, right? Probably the most direct. So it's kind of like if you had multiple ways of getting around a city. You're trying to think, okay, if this is where I am and I want to be here, what are the multiple routes that I can go to get there in the quickest amount of time, right? Or, what are the possible routes that I can even start with? So that's kind of where we are with this sort of problem here. So I do want you to try the problem and try to get this number over here. I do want you to think it through. It's not necessarily that you have to, have every path, but this is something that we could talk about as a class. I do think it's important for you to know this is the answer, but I don't necessarily want to give you all of the solution. I want you to kind of give an opportunity to really massage your brain a little bit. All right, so that's Mr. Shagney. If you like this video, hit a quick subscribe, and as always, it's your boy, Mr. Shagney, signing out. All right, have a great day.